Now, recently, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency issued another warning alert regarding the volume of rains expected across Nigeria, even as global warming continues to distort precipitation patterns. As expected, Lagos, the city of aquatic splendor, tops the list of states where widespread flooding is expected to wreak havoc on lives and property if necessary steps are not taken by the authorities to mitigate the circumstances. Joining us now to discuss that flooding alert and how Nigeria can effectively mitigate the effects of global warming is James Adamu. He's the Chief Meteorologist and Executive Assistant to the Director General of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. Good to have you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Well, I'd just like to go back in time just a little bit to March this year, where NIMET issued warnings regarding seasonal floods and boat mishaps. They were predicted accordingly, and the call was made for preventative actions to be taken. Now, since then up until now, are you content with the level of preventative measures that you've seen taken in various states?
Thank you so much. So far, most of the states have been putting in measures to safeguard lives and properties. But I believe we can still do much more because we have recorded incidences where we have recorded loss of lives and properties as a result of flooding in places across the country. So we encourage the states to still do much more in terms of awareness and also flood prevention.
Very good, Mr. Adamu. Still talking about awareness, which you've already alluded to. How effective are early warning infrastructure on flooding and other natural disasters currently?
Well, from the national level, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency and the Nigerian Hydrological Agency have both issued early warning in terms of heavy rainfall and flood alert across the country. It was specific to local government where areas you expected to have high intensity rainfall that may lead to flood. And in terms of awareness, the National Emergency Management Authority, that is NEMA, have been taking this information to the state level at the grassroots. And the state governments, including Lagos State, I'm sure early this year, there was a program on seasonal rainfall prediction and flood management in Lagos State, which we attended and made presentations. And I'm sure the media have been doing its own bit, but we can still do much more because the dynamic of the atmosphere is high, and this information, they come at different level because apart from the seasonal rainfall prediction, as you mentioned, that was released in March, we also released the monthly update, the daily weather forecast, and the high intensity rainfall forecast. So this other information, I think there's a gap in terms of taking it down to the end users or those to be affected. I think we need to do much more, and NIMET, through the DG, Professor Mansour Bakumatazu, have been doing that through the downscale to the state governments, and we have done that to almost 27 states of the country, taking this second level information to the end users.
Duly noted, and kudos to you for doing your best to, fill that information gap. But earlier you stated that, you'd like to see states do much more in terms of prevention and awareness. I'd like you to get specific, please.
Well, the state government, we will acknowledge they are putting in their best, but I mean, the state government, we have the city centers and the local government, and those people within the some villages that don't have access to social media or even the electronic media, the state government need to do much more in terms of grassroots information system, getting to those people, particularly within the areas that are vulnerable. I think state government and the local government should put hands together because they are closer to the people.
Very good, Mr. Adamu. Still talking about vulnerabilities. If recent global wildfires and other natural disasters are anything to go by, isn't that indicative of climate change? And how should Nigeria view such occurrences and prepare, especially with our own peculiar, natural disasters, you think?
Okay, thank you. You recall this year, early this year, we had the wildfire in Canada that affected the dynamic of the atmosphere. And even after the release of the forecast, which was based on a weak La Nina, by the time we got to May, the atmospheric system has changed. We have the sea surface temperature was warming above normal, and it is on record that July is the hottest month ever recorded in terms of high temperatures. So, and it's affecting Nigeria because this year also we had incidences of dry spell and drought in parts of the northern states like Bauchi and Gombe State. It is changing, and high intensity rainfall is expected as we move into September, October, November, particularly in the inland and the coastal states. So we'll be beginning to have this high frequency of high intensity rainfall. So people should brace off because you can see across the world the weather pattern is changing. We're having high intensity rainfall within a short period of time, which causes havoc rather than blessings.
Indeed. Now, Mr. Adamu, how important is it that as a country, we realize that everyone has a role to play? And by that, I mean in terms of sensitization of the Nigerian public to imbibe the culture of refraining from habits like dumping refuse into gutters, pits, and canals.
Okay, so I recall last year the UN Secretary General gave a mandate in terms of information that early warning should get to everyone as at when due, and it is that everywhere in the part of this world, everybody should get early warning in terms of weather. And in NIMET, we're doing that in terms of getting this information out, and we are appreciative to the media for helping taking this information out. Now, in terms of drainage management, this is a big issue because of the way we handle waste in this country. Up to now, even in city centers, we don't desegregate waste. You see different kind of waste moving into the water channels and the rest. Our use of plastic and polythene, sachet water and the rest. The way we handle some of this refuse is a source of concern and is affecting the environment. You find out most cities, Abuja, Lagos, the drainages are blocked, and the state government keep trying to open up this drainage, but our habits. So we are calling on individuals, the way you handle our wastes, and even in big advanced areas in Nigeria, you still find the wastes are not desegregated. You see everything is mopped up together. We should have renewables, recyclable bin, reusable bin, and other desegregated waste, so that if we start a kind of waste management, we will reduce the effect by reducing this blockage on waterways, and also building on waterways. I think our environmentalists and the design of the urban and regional planners need to do much more in terms of opening waterways and preventing people from building structures on waterways. I think that is one of our greatest problems in this country. And if state government can work on this, I think we will improve and reduce the effect of a flood in this country.
You're right about that, Mr. Adamu, especially when it comes to the issue of building on waterways. Lagos has never had it really bad regarding that. Now, we're still largely dependent on fossil fuel technology for mobility, power generation, and other facets of human existence. Are we taking climate change serious at this rate in Nigeria, you think?
Well, the federal government, I want to say, just signed the Climate Change Commission Act, which is now an act. We have a Climate Change Commission, and in terms of the policies, we are beginning to put policies together. The national framework for climate services is already in place and working towards climate information, getting to individuals. So if the commission just came on board last year, and if they start working properly, people will, I'm sure we as a nation, we are beginning to take the right step in the right direction. And going forward, if these policies are being implemented holistically, I'm sure the issue of climate change in terms of adaptability and mitigation against its effects, people will be more aware, and where all hands will be on deck, going by some of these policies already on ground. And already NIMET and other agencies, Ministry of Environment, NEMA, we're working together in synergy to see that information gets to the public and how we go about mitigation. And also the issue of fossil fuel, if you even notice, I've seen in some of the news media, though it's not a good thing when you look at it, the high cost of petrol, but you find out the vehicles within the city centers are a kind of reduced. And if people start taking alternative and source of energy for their activities, for mobility and for use of clean energy like solar power is highly commendable. In most cities now, you find that most houses are beginning to adopt to solar panel. And in other cities, you see people moving away from use of fossil fuel to more clean, green energy.
Well said, Mr. Adamu. Now, of course, you mentioned earlier that when it comes to matters like monthly updates of weather reports and bridging the information gap, I believe you mentioned that you've been able to bridge that gap relatively in about 27 states. Based on what you've seen so far, which states are you most concerned about in terms of preventative measures probably not being up to the right standard, and probably also falling in the group where, you know, they're most likely prone to huge flood?
Now, all states of the Federation, including the FCT, are doing their best. But in terms of those that are likely to be worst affected by this flood, as we go into September, October, when the rain begins to cease in the north and the second season in the south, you find out that there's a dread. Most of this water tends to find its way to the Atlantic Ocean, going through Lokoja, Anambra, and to Bayelsa states. So some of those states are like the receiving end when that water drains into these states. The state government know that they are not doing well, but they need, they need support in terms of infrastructure, because the whole water needs to find its way to the Atlantic Ocean, and I know the state governments are doing their best, but we recommend they do much more. Mostly those states within the coastal area, including Lagos State, where you find out that when there's a release, because come to September, October, there may be release of the Osun-Ogun River Basin, and when the dam there, when there's a release of water with the rainfall, you have water going to Ogun State and Lagos State. So those states should just brace up. All the states are doing much more. The 27 states I've mentioned are states that we have able to go down to do downscaling. That is, we had step-down activity in the states to inform the locals about the impending risks in that area. For those states we are not able to go, it's not because the states are not doing much, but due to some logistics. But we'll still cover some of those states as time goes on.
All right, we've been speaking with James Adamu. He's the Chief Meteorologist of NIMET. We'd like to thank you for your perspective on the current flood warning in Nigeria. It's good to have you on Newsday.